Hi, this is Ross Payton with Role-Playing Public Radio. This is RPPR episode 192, Multiverse Mayhem. And with me is a special guest.
Who should have turned his phone off. I'm very sorry. Hi, this is Patrick.
Yes, it's Patrick Harkin from Role-Playing Exchange and Technical Difficulties, and we're definitely leaving that in. Yeah.
So how you doing, Ross? Yep. I'm just going to gloss over that. That didn't happen. How are you? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Patrick is here visiting America before you head up to Gen Con this year.
That's right.
Yeah. So we are, while you're in town, you know, I've been showing the wonderful and exotic sights of Springfield, Missouri. I thought we'd record an episode of RPPR and get your perspective on some things. But before we get into that, is there anything you'd like to tell the listeners of RPPR about? And I think we'll use the music you mentioned as the intro for this. So you've already listened to this music, but what is this music?
Well, I don't know which track you've selected.
Yeah.
Pretty sure the album is from.
Yeah.
That would have been a selection from Honeymoon Suite. By Harkin, one name, which is my sister's stage name, Katie. It was recorded and mastered and produced and released entirely in pandemic while she and her partner were escaping from the US, actually. So it is... I don't know, a jail record, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Quarantine record. That's gonna everything pretty much made in 2020 and 21 is in some way reflecting quarantine. Art reflects the material conditions in which it was made.
I pity the artists of 2023 who have to find something else to talk about.
Oh no. I mean, maybe it'll be like the Spanish flu and we just totally memory hole all of it. So yeah. But in the meantime, listen to this sweet music. So how would you characterize the album in a few words?
Well, Katie has her roots in indie rock. Well, I guess you want to get really far back. She has her roots in ska.
Yeah.
But she's probably a little embarrassed if I bring that up. Transitioning into sort of early noughties indie rock and then getting synthier as it goes on. And this is probably her most synth-heavy album. Very ethereal, elegiac. If I want to show off my degree a little more.
Cool. Synth is probably the single most common word on one of my other podcasts, Night Clerk Radio.
Weird.
Yeah, because we review vaporwave and dark ambient music that is highly synth. So it's all good to me.
There's no innovation in the space. There's no biological vaporwave.
I did find it, well, not in vaporwave, but in ambient. People figured out how to do bioelectric sounds, which is like plugging things into mushrooms and then getting sounds out of it somehow.
Ooh, terrifying. Continue.
No, they sound very weird. It sounds exactly as weird as you would imagine. So some people have made some albums on that. Someone on our community Discord for Night Clerk Radio posted links to that. So
interesting.
Yeah. It's a thing that happens. You can get music from mushrooms. Another RPPR news. August is coming up. We're going to have some design consultation slots open and a Patreon game. So if you want to have me consult for 1 hour on your RPG project, sign up. I'll make a public post on the Patreon about that, and I'll share that on social media and all the things. So keep an eye out for that. So.
He's very interested in your maid hack.
Yeah, actually, that does sound what. Yeah, it'd be very intrigued. Like, what are you hacking about Maid? Such a versatile game. Anyway, let's get into the topic, which is a topic you proposed. So, do you want to introduce the listeners to this?
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about this trope, I suppose you could say, that's been getting a lot of mainstream coverage. It's been around in nerd culture stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
But today we're going to be talking about multiverses.
Yeah. I think the two big high water marks in pop culture right now are Everything All at Once and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. But even before that, I realized this trend probably popped off because of Rick and Morty, which is
that probably didn't really help cement it in the mainstream.
And by multiverse, we mean basically anything with alternate universes, dimensions, whatever you want to call them, where you step through a portal usually, and you're instantaneously in another universe where the laws of physics may not work the same, different planets. It's a way to, I mean, in the olden sci-fi, you just hopped on a spaceship and warped to a different planet, but now you just step through a portal and you're a different universe. But it's a lot of it the Rick and Morty stuff is basically like Planet of the Week, kind of Star Trek stuff in a sense. But there's a lot of different ways to do this, and RPGs have done a lot of it. What is there a tabletop RPG you think you've liked the implementation the best?
So in the RPG space, I mean, we sort of have to bring up the Thinking Man's Game, don't we?
And what is the Thinking Man's Game?
I believe it's pronounced Rifts.
Yes. Rifts or Riffs in the American vernacular. We mispronounce everything here.
Oh, okay.
Riffs is
Rifty Shifties, we call it across the pond.
Rifty Shifties. You see, you could tell me that and I would actually believe it. Like if the great thing is you know, I didn't know trash cans with wheels were wheelie bins until Maddie told me, but
wheels.
Wheelie
bin,
wheelie bins. But James Wallace from Letter Narrative confirmed that the other day. So Riffs, another RPG that did it in the 80s is Torg. Torg actually had mechanics about like how the laws of physics were changed, and they had a limited number of universes you could hop to. Each one having kind of like a theme park, theme to it. Like this is the cyber papacy. It's cybernetics and, the high Middle Ages. And I know there's like a horror one. I think they're all kind of horrific, but like that's the only one I remember from Torg.
Yeah, I mean, and D&D sort of has this multiversal setting itself, in as much as a semi-generic RPG like D&D has a variety of settings that all kind of coexist, but mostly addressed through things like Spelljammer and Planescape. D&D is interesting because I think they got their other dimensions originally from mythology, and they were like the afterlife, the heavens and hells, and the realms of the gods, and then they kind of branched out and taking stuff from New Age material like the astral plane and weird fiction in general. And so the multiverse stuff is really old hat for RPGs, but like it's interesting to see how popular culture is handling multiverses, because, in movies, everything is metaphorical, or it should be, it's symbolic of like the struggle of the characters. Like that's the whole point of it. I know writers are using metaphors and they're all cowards.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, this has been in literature too. One of my a story I read a couple of years ago that I really like, Borges' "The Garden of Forking Paths," which is the whole idea of the multiverse is boils down to like, is the path less traveled, right? Like, or what if I had taken the other fork in the road, but in D&D, it's a place you can go and kill monsters and get loot,
Yeah, I mean, part of like where the multiverse sort of as a concept really originates in popular fiction is when you had, or at least was cemented in popular psychology, was when you had, I think, a lot of comic stories from like the 40s and 50s and then the Silver Age, and telling different stories with sort of the same characters, and then editorial, when people started saying, well, which one of these is canon, and then DC and Marvel sort of put their foot down and say, well, they're all canon. Yeah. It's just they're in slightly different worlds. One's Earth 1, one's Earth 616.
You're right. I totally forgot about that, but yeah.
It was how they could sort of keep these characters alive without having to do a reboot, and then, well, this being DC or Marvel, they rebooted anyway because that drove sales.
Yeah, I think, the comics made it use the multiverse as sort of a convenience. So they, because like, I've always thought that like superhero comics, especially from the big two, are like each character is really a genre. Like Batman is a genre of superhero, like because they tell it uses these very specific tropes and frameworks to tell Batman stories about Batman the animated series. Batman as basically therapist for supervillains. He is trying to heal and help. He is a broken person trying to help other broken people. Versus Frank Miller, Batman is a fascist and he loves it, and you should too.
He wants to break people.
He wants to break people, and all these variations, and so the real question is, when you're looking at all these ideas for the multiverse, what would you want to do in your RPG? Because it's very easy to implement on a game mechanic, or it can be very easy to implement, because Rifts is literally you just step through a portal, you're in a new place. That's it. Yeah. Like here's how the spell works, and here's a few other things, but that's it. Like it's very facile. It's very easy. They don't really give a lot of thought to it. It's basically a different planet, and instead of a spaceship, you have a portal. Like there's no real cool. Like it's just
you're on Mars. Serial numbers filed off.
Yeah. You're in the wasteland planet and universe. I'm sorry, universe, not planet. Yeah, universe. Like that's the thing Palladium would do a lot of, is a lot of their universes were basically one planet. Like their first, they did source books of like separate universes. And the first one I think was called Wormwood, and it was literally just one planet that was like the planet itself was alive, and like it had all these things and all these, but like it's just the one planet. Like there's nowhere else you can visit in that entire universe. So like. And if you bring stuff from that planet back to Rifts, I can't remember. Sometimes it's like, oh, this is too powerful. You can't that
is one of the issues with that kind of thing. Because one of the things I think that multiverses first show up in RPGs is, okay, we're playing a fantasy game, but can I please play a cyborg?
Yeah,
I'd really like to play a cyborg cat girl for some reason. And so, okay, well, maybe you fell through a hole in space time and landed in this strange world where everyone is speaking Elvish.
Yeah. We'll house rule it.
Well, you can.
We don't know what the word isekai means yet, but we're basically doing that.
Oh God, yeah. I guess every isekai a multiverse? Ooh.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think we're prepared for the philosophy of isekai.
They're multiverses in the same way Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge is, right? Like, isekais are framed like, oh, I died in Tokyo, and now I'm in, like, it's the hallucination of a person who's died, like, if you want to be.
I don't know if every isekai is like that, but certainly a lot of them are like that. And you get hit by a truck.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you're a slime.
Yeah. Or a cat girl or whatever. Palladium, I'm pretty sure Rifts, like all their idea about multiverse is making sure that like you don't break the game by like grabbing the cool weapon or character class from this universe and bringing it back to the baseline. So like, which is a valid concern. You know,
you bring a Gatling gun into a medieval world and you are no emperor.
Yeah, exactly. That is something to consider when you're doing yours, but like there's other considerations too. Like I was thinking about like space travel and planets and stuff like that. And I watched Interstellar recently, and it's like, oh yeah, if you go on this planet, it's like time because of physics, you're just 1 year on 1 hour on this planet is like 7 years everywhere else, and like you could do that for universes too. Like different time rates. Nagali C2, like. Our rain campaign had a really interesting thing, and that was the center point of the entire campaign, was the time rate being differences between two very otherwise, at least on the physics level, very similar. But you can change a lot of other things too, like how physics works. Whether like if you bring the Gatling gun to the medieval world, maybe it doesn't work. That's another common thing, because like I think Torg had that, where like magic. There are RPGs where like magic works in some areas and high tech stuff works in the other areas, and they're at war.
Yeah. Or in the Long Earth book series by Stephen Baxter and Terry Pratchett, ferrous materials can't make the crossing.
Oh, okay.
So you jump with basically like this little device that can sort of get you across. Some people I think have to be natural born, like mutants, and you can't bring across your tank, so you can't just conquer the other world.
Okay.
Although in that example, those worlds are uninhabited anyway. So
Yeah. So, but you can't bring your mining equipment to just like,
you need to go back to Stone Age.
we need to go get, wait, is lithium ferrous? Let's go to the Bolivia. And,
Yeah, they had to find a way to get around it working for your blood. I can't remember what that was.
Okay. Yeah.
You don't just leave your blood behind in the universe.
Yeah. So they're making game mechanical considerations and balance consideration, which are valid. But I think the biggest question really is not like, that it's why you want to bring it in and how it will make your game better. So you have to think about like how is it going to change what your story is about? The themes.
I think you can sort of look at it from two perspectives. The first is you can do the Kingdom Hearts thing of just like, I want to have some fun with my friends. Let's just throw a bunch of stuff we like. Yeah. And it all just co-interacts and it's weird and it's zany and no one's particularly thinking much, but we're having fun. And, Donald Duck just cast a spell 4 times more powerful than Bahamut.
Yeah. And ironically, that's the appeal of Rifts, really. It's the kitchen sink power fantasy. You just throw everything in there. You're fighting xenomorphs with your glitter boy, and your version of Doctor Strange is there, and it's all really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And just to be clear, like that's valid. That's equally valid as any other approach. And the other one I think is this more everything everywhere the way of once version of the multiverse, which is much more introspective, and it is about seeing yourself but slightly differently, because it gives you like the GM the opportunity to do like the mirror match, but they went a little further than you're willing to go, examining stuff that what does that mean to you.
It's a it's a way to do introspective stuff in like an action setting, right? Like, Superman can't have like, if Superman has a midlife crisis, it's best done through like Bizarro showing up and showing him, or like, the evil version of Superman.
It's a Socratic dialogue with more punching.
Yeah, exactly. So you're questioning your decisions, or like, I love the Star Trek version of that because, Picard, the evil Picard in the other universe is like no shirt sleeves, massive arms, and just like there's a comic series where he's
Buff
like
Spock,
buff Picard, and assassins try to get him in the weight room, while he's powerlifting, like
imagine doing it while playing that little flute he had.
Yeah, he doesn't have a flute. The evil one doesn't have a flute.
No, evil Picard would play bagpipes.
Yeah. I like that. And so that's the most classic way to do that, is like the opposite version of that.
I mean, to bring in sort of like a trope in video games, they say that like the best boss is a guy who's you. Yeah. You just have this open field, nice sunset, go on the other side of the field. He's you. You're going to fight. Yeah. That's usually the best boss fights they have out there.
But like everything everywhere all at once, it does that a little bit, but not really, because it's more about like relationships to other characters. So you can do like slightly more introspective things where it's not you, but it's like the people like that person you broke up with, what if you stayed with them, or what if you broke up with this person who's horrible for you, or what if you stayed with this original job or task or adventure and party, what if like, and that is very dependent. That requires a lot of characterization and sort of like build up. So like, but it's out there. It's a good idea, but again, that's if you're focusing on that kind of thing, that's a very introspective kind of game. It's very character focused. Yeah,
and you probably want to bring the multiverse tropes for that, like session 4. Yeah, you probably don't want to start at that point, because you need to establish the character a lot more, so that you can then look at the stress testing of character traits and beliefs through the multiversal doppelgangers.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of has to be foreshadowed a bit by like making sure, like if you're doing like a very, realistic game, or like a game like Unknown Armies, like you could do that, but you'd have to like foreshadow like the room of renunciation and things like that. So that player characters aren't totally blindsided. If they think they're just, hunting vampires or whatever, like that would be a kind of a rug pull to no, but really we're going to be talking about your vampire hunter. Like, what is Van Helsing is sad, but why is he sad? And that kind of thing. So so that's sort of like the popular one, and that's the one that's going on in pop culture right now. But there are other things you can do aside from kitchen sink and like introspection, like Planescape, which we mentioned early, is really interesting because it has the other universes represent like either very physical or metaphysical, like concepts and principle, like platonic ideals. Like there is a plane, a universe of lawful good, and it represents all that is lawful good. And there is an elemental plane of salt, and it represents all of salt and everything salt can
Twitch streams come from.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's hells, and there's like a lawful hell and a chaotic hell, and it gets really into the nitty gritty of what it means to be chaotic evil versus lawful evil. And there's a big difference. And boy, that's what all the Planescape material was fucking about.
And then you got the polytheistic setting will have different planes of existence for each deity. Very often they'll have their own little heavens.
Yeah. What does it mean to be like, chaotic good heavens? Like Arcadia versus Valhalla, like what does it mean to be and so if you want to explore these metaphysical things and have kind of like this and there's a lot of fiction things like Sandman and Lucifer, like a lot of Neil Gaiman fiction really gets into this kind of like philosophical weighty but that would be like the campaign premise, right? That would be like from session 0, this is what this campaign is about.
A Neil Gaiman game would involve the GM sitting down and then saying, okay, please listen to my 30-second speech about how stories are actually magic. And then we do some multiverse stuff.
Maybe that's what Invisible Sun is all about.
Well, maybe.
Alas, we can't afford, we didn't get the $200 cube, so we'll never know.
No. Oh god. Yeah. What Patreon level is that?
I actually looked for copies on Invisible. Someone joked about doing Leto narrative dissidents and curating an episode on Invisible Sun. And I was like, well, how much is the used copy now? They're not.
I don't think that's a profit making venture.
You don't like they're just not out there. Like there's some of the supplements are available, and like the PDF alone is like $100, but that doesn't have all. I don't know if that had all the cards and stuff like that because it uses cards and things. Like it's but no one has actually done that. So I don't need a copy of Invisible Sun. So please, but so so those are like, I think the 3 big kind of ways you can do multiverse stuff. I think the fourth one would be the Long Earth, in talking about like, like a theme about colonialism, exploitation.
So the thing with Long Earth is you can jump from planet to planet, the same spot within the chain of multiverses. So if you're going from New York in our world and you're going across one, you end up in New York minus a slight bit of drift because the planet's not quite the same speed or something. But you end up basically where you are. But you can't jump from Earth 1 to Mars 2. If you want to go to Mars, you have to go to Mars first and then jump. But because these worlds are all uninhabited, I think there might be some like implications in some of the series of like some of them have like trolls, but you have to jump really far to get to them. Anyway, the comment section is going to come for me on this. But because they are mostly uninhabited, but they still have, all the rare earth minerals, all the lumber, all the water, it does spark a gold rush, essentially, or a westward expansion as suddenly humanity sort of becomes post-scarcity. You just need to go out and get it.
Yeah.
You just need to bodge together your $20 multiverse jump machine and go and get it. So that leads to, a story, I guess, trope-wise or spirit-wise, maybe more even akin to a Wild West.
Yeah.
Heading out, striking out.
Endless frontier.
It's an endless frontier. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a perfectly valid way of doing it. So I think, because it's a very focused multiverse, like that's the thing is we need to think about like so there's, aside from the themes, you need to think about the in cosmology reason in the game setting of how multiverse stuff, the basic mechanics of it, what can be done, what can't be done. So in the Long Earth, you can't go to a universe with an evil you because they don't exist.
Yep.
Yeah. Or maybe it's Earth 18 quintillion away. And so you're just never going to be able to get there in time. So it might as well not exist. Or there's no elemental plane of salt. There's no Earth made of salt because that's too divergent, I would guess. So, and your cosmology limitations of what can and can't be done would also inform the theme. So, they kind of reinforce each other. So, actually, I do think another example would be you can do inside of introspecting, you could do it like on a wider scale, which, as we were discussing, the Laundry Files, a series of novels from Charles Stross. Magic is a form of mathematics, so computers can do magic. It's very Lovecraftian. And one of the novels deals with an invasion from an alternate universe. And it is a humanity evolved differently. And so they're basically dark elves, or elves. And they use magic instead of technology for the most part. They use spells and bound animals and weird creatures to fight. But they basically works out to be the same as jet fighters and machine guns. So you could do like, what if society changed differently, so like the alternate history kind of stuff and the alternate evolution kind of stuff.
Yeah, it can be as much about society as it is about the individual. You can be like, in this world, we cracked the atom in 1920 instead of 1940.
Yeah, that would be.
And without the pressure of World War II to power atomic energy, does that like lead to a golden age?
Yeah. Or does it lead to a nuclear wasteland? Yeah. Maybe we more freely with the nukes, Who
knows?
Yeah. There are a lot of different ways it could go. And so think about your themes. And then I would personally think like what kind of game I want to make before I worry too much about the cosmology.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if you think of a really interesting cosmology, like multiverse travel works like this, like cheap multiverse travel, like in Long Earth, it sounds like is really intriguing. What happens when anybody can do it? So that could be neat. And so think about those two topics first, I guess.
There's also the issue of stakes. I mean, one of the sort of common criticisms I heard about going back to Doctor Strange is that why do we care about all the people that get killed in this horror superhero film? Because you've established as a multiverse, there's an infinite number of people. Yeah, killing 100 million people is functionally the same as killing 0 people when measured against infinity. Yeah. This is also one of the things about like Rick and Morty. Like it's very like, oops, we fucked up a universe. Cool. We'll just zoip. We're in another one. Yeah. I mean, and Rick and Morty is comedic. Like that's the joke. Like that's the punchline. Yeah. It's very dark comedy, but
very nihilistic, absurdist humor. And a lot of people, of course, miss out on the larger things, is that absurdism and that nihilism actually winds up hurting you personally. When you're a caustic asshole to everybody, guess what? You're not going to feel great about yourself sooner or later.
Turns out killing and burying yourself in the backyard fucks you up a bit. Yeah.
So it's a personal cost, and so Rick and Morty's like, how long can you hurt other people without losing the ability to feel anything? How long, when you hurt others, you hurt yourself, but
the trick is, how do you get your players to be Morty and not Rick in that, because he's going to be the one going zoip, 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 and Morty's going to be the one losing sleep.
Yeah. Or Summer be like, this is kind of fucked up, Rick. So that's things you can approach. And then, of course, your game system and mechanics also reinforce that. So if you want to emphasize like the great toll, obviously systems with like a lot of emotional and mental health things like Unknown Harmonies would be a good way of doing it. But if you want to emphasize action and wackiness, Fate might be better.
Sure.
And this also be a good to do if you want to do a campaign approaching these themes. It might be good to do like a session 0 in a different system, like Microscope or the Quiet Year, even like Modified Quiet Year or something like that.
Something setting building.
Setting build. There's a lot of setting building and story games out there, and it might be interesting to see if there's any ones that's specifically about multiverse. Now, one idea I did have, I realized is, the whole thing about the multiverse is, it's the garden of forking paths. You're going through and you make choices to go left or right and go down as you go through life to pursue this relationship or break off, or take this job or not, or go to this school or not. And what is a garden of forking paths but a dungeon? Ooh. So I mean, for me, everything I was like, everything can be a dungeon crawl. The dungeon crawl is a metaphor for life, like the great film Dave Made a Maze. He made a maze, a dungeon, and it's a metaphor for his personal crisis.
Yeah.
That's also a very real maze.
He just made his creative blocks out of cardboard.
Yeah. So it would be really interesting to do you could make it like a cube style hell prison. If you want to go like dark, like a Delta Green kind of thing. I kind of did that with Bestow a little bit.
Yeah. Or this might be on the Patreon, so cut this out. But Caleb's sub game.
On Delta Green, Dead Channels. Yeah.
That sort of rotates the sub through multiple iterations.
Submarine game. Yeah. I forgot what it's called, but you should just check out Delta Green Dead Channels. Caleb's been running some pretty great games. Yeah. That's a good pick. But yeah, I kind of want to do a multiverse game dungeon crawl that's not horror. Like make it more philosophical,
maybe. So maybe like the dungeon is like at this like dimensional ley line intersection kind of thing. And you're not the only version of yourself raiding the dungeon at this point, so you're literally in a race against yourself.
I mean, you could make the easy thing would make it like an action thing and be like, it's Jet Li the one, but it's a race. Like you're all Jet Li. Every player character is a different version of themselves, but you're all allied.
Dungeon crawl classics, peasant funnel.
Oh, it's a peasant funnel, but you're all the same person.
Yes, all iterations of you.
So you just roll different professions, and you're all, and you got different names and things, but you're all clearly the same person. Variations on a theme, and you all decided to work with each other because one team gets to survive and go back to their own verses, but all the others get eliminated or whatever. That sounds actually pretty fun. Or you building bridges out of your own corpse. Or you could do like a Nagali C2 thing where it's more like societal and be like, we're trying to change the course of history or pick the best multiverse for ourselves. Oh yeah, that's the thing. It's like find a new home. Literally like you're in this unstable. The lab exploded, blah, blah, blah. Oh, wait, we can't go back to our own multiverse, our own home dimension, because it always exits in the same place, the lab. And our lab is blowing up, so we'll die if we go back. But we can find a very close one, but like there's always going to be something off about it, Like, so the whole game is about who. Okay, this one is great. There's no climate crisis. Unfortunately, you divorced your partner who you love. It's like, well, fuck that.
Something just occurred to me about possible multiverse tropes. Mandela effects.
Oh yeah,
those are often considered to be.
Yeah, like what if you traveled and you didn't even know? That's how you do the Unknown Armies version. That's Unknown.
Wait, shit, it's Berenstain now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's how you. So that's the Unknown Armies, very magical realism kind of thing. But I like the idea of like a game where everyone is like looking at options and every option is off in some reason. And so who's willing to, take one for the team, or like, why do I have to one of us has a shitty lives no matter which one we find, or we can all have shitty lives, but society is better. Fuck. Oh
shit. Are we prisoners dilemmaing ourselves?
Yeah. Wait, what if we go to the one where we're like, kings, but it's a horrible monarchist society, but we'll be in charge.
Excuse me? What are we saying?
Yeah.
What are we saying about monarchies? No. Either edge. I'm not a monarchist.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. The Queen will enter another phase. And
they take our taxes and don't sweat.
I just, if London, if the UK goes all Bloodborne, you're welcome to seek refuge here until this goes all Mad Max. So,
well, Mad Max was Australia. Wouldn't you guys go the Purge?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, we're the Purge. So you got your choice now. We have Bloodborne, we have Mad Max, and we have the Purge. Which flavor do you want?
The three genders.
Yeah. And there's another multiverse game. Choose your apocalypse. Choose your dystopia.
Yeah. I mean, if you're fleeing the apocalypse and you keep finding I mean, that's like Fermi's paradox writ large, right? You know, you discover the ability to travel multidimensionally. Wait, hang on. There's an infinite multiverse. Well, I guess even with Long Earth, you know, it was uninhabited, but there was like tree life, there was organic life, which was humans.
Well, yeah, there would have to be some kind of life for there to be oxygen.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, like you just start jumping, and it's like, oh no, oh no. Infinity is supposed to be really, really big, but we can't find anything that isn't fucked up. Like, shit.
Yep.
What's doing that?
Yeah. That your nice, cool sci-fi game becomes a horror game, you know? That's very Eclipse phase. So these are just ideas for everybody to consider, when, approaching this idea. You know, I know there's a ton of more implementations in various RPGs out there. We just brought up a few. But yeah, so let us know in the comments or on social media, about your favorite implementation RPGs. Other considerations when talking about them, and so in a second we'll be back with us, and we're back. And I'll put some more of Harkin's music in between. But yeah, now we have, of course, our shout outs. And I would like to get the ball rolling with a movie that, you know, Patrick, I'm sorry, I did enjoy it quite a bit. RRR, even though, well, maybe a lot of British soldiers do get killed in this movie, and but they're killed in really cool ways. No,
man, like they deserved it. They're fucking around in India. They deserved it. Like, we shouldn't have been there. No. Yeah, they are comically evil in the movie, and like if you know anything about the history of British colonialism in India, it's they basically even like that. That it was not. Yeah, they were even worse than that. But yeah, it is a 3-hour Tollywood, not Bollywood. Because it's
Telugu. Language. And it is a epic movie about two Indian heroes, actually based on real people, but they never met in real life. But it's kind of like a alternate history. What if they met and they became best bros? And it really is a bromance. They are their friendship is the core of this movie. Can they be friends? And will their friendship survive the British colonialism? And
also, how many tigers can I throw at you?
Oh, they do throw some tigers. There is a lot of very good CGI animal work in this movie. The action, the stunts, the singing. I enthusiastically, unironically love this movie. It's on Netflix right now. It is 3 hours long. Watch it with friends. That's the best way.
Okay.
Because you're not gonna get a better experience, because especially if you're not used to these kind of movies, they're over the top but way better than Marvel action scenes. So that is a fun movie to check out. But you actually brought me a book.
Yes, this is something that I'll be showing out. It's called Islands of Abandonment by Cal Flynn. It is, something I sort of like impulse purchase and ended up really, really liking. It's about the ecology of abandoned places.
Ooh.
So sites of former habitation that have been left to the elements, and sort of going into how the elements reclaim them, and how the legacy of human activity in certain areas will persist, all done in like not like a dry textbook, almost more like a travelogue sort of way, focusing on different abandoned or otherwise usually inaccessible areas, and going through how nature is healing.
Yeah,
the virus.
Yeah,
that bullshit. So it's stuff like how towards the end the writer tries to sort of say like, this isn't me saying we'll be all right on climate change. Like, this isn't me saying like nature's going to be fine.
Yeah,
but it is just sort of a look at like what might be the new normal in a lot of places. Yeah, and it's very interesting. It looks at stuff like the divided zone in Turkey, in Cyprus, the line between the Greek and Cypriot, Greek Cypriot and Turkish side. Yeah, which has been in force in 30 years, and now is like a great place for sheep. Great.
Happy for the sheep.
Or the exclusion zone around Chernobyl. Yeah,
probably not. That's probably a little out of date now because of the war. Yeah. But yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, yeah. Who knows?
Who knows? Or the Red Zone in France.
Oh yeah.
Where there are so many munitions fired in World War One that it's just like you can still find a lot of arsenic in the ground soil. And,
Oh yeah.
Really fucked up fairy rings, just patches where stuff doesn't grow. Yeah, cool. even today.
I look forward to reading.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, nice. Let's see here. My next one. Actually, I'm going to just shout out two movies at once. Maddie and I have been watching some movies lately. There's one Maddie introduced me called Closet Land, which is a drama about starring Alan Rickman. And he is a torturer torturing it's a woman who is a children's author and illustrator. It's a very powerful drama. It's on YouTube. You can just watch the whole movie on YouTube. So I'll put a link into that. But it's
is it like a CIA thing or like
like an Eastern European like country I believe the woman came from Eastern Europe, the director and writer, it's I don't want to spoil too much about it, but I didn't catch all of it. Maddie was watching it when I came in, but I was mesmerized by the ending, especially. There's bits of animation in it. It's a beautiful movie. And the other movie we watched recently is Men, which is the new Alex Garland movie, which is set in the UK, and I assume is what happens in every small village.
That's Toy Country right there. Yeah.
A woman goes to the countryside to recover. She's wanting just a quiet time, and then weird things start happening to her, and
this is in the trailer, but it's I don't know if it's literally all the men, but many people in the village are all played by Rory Kinnear.
There's some weird shit going on, and it's a movie that it's creepy and weird throughout, and then for the finale they just, boy does it go all out. So it's also a movie, if you think movies just be literally about what they're, if you don't like the idea of metaphor, you will not like this movie. Are
you saying that this film might have something to say?
Yeah, well, yeah, it does have something to say. But the Cinnamon Sins style of film criticism will not like this movie.
Probably not.
Yeah, because they don't explain everything. It's an intense viewing. Check it out.
So my next shout out is going to be a Korean Netflix show. I know those have been popular for a few years. Some kind of octopus entertainment. I don't know. But this is called My Name. I didn't catch the original title in Korean, but it's sort of in the vein of Infernal Affairs or The Departed. The main character is the teenage daughter of a high-ranking mobster who is killed in front of her apartment, and the police don't help because why would they investigate? Just got Al Capone off the streets, and so she has to turn to his fellow crime boss partner to begin to investigate the mystery. And she is inserted. She's given a new identity and inserted into the narcotics division of the local police department to try and hunt out a dirty cop. But it's got these great action sequences, lots of good hallway fights.
Koreans do really good action scenes.
Yeah.
Especially the stuff that gets picked up for Netflix and stuff like that. That's the top tier stuff.
Yeah. Nice bits of bisexual lighting throughout. Lots of neon and chrome. There's a guy who's just the dang Joker.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. I'll put that on my queue. That sounds, it's one I've seen the trailer. I was like, ooh, that's cool. Then I totally forgot about it because there's so much.
It's good.
I want to mention, let's see here, two games I've played. One video game that I played and a tabletop RPG that I bought but haven't played yet because it just came out. But the video game is Janitor Bleeds, which is a low poly horror video game you can pick up on Steam and I think Itch. And it's, your car breaks down in the middle of nowhere, and the only place is this abandoned arcade. And so you go in the abandoned arcade, and then weird shit starts happening.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So it looks like a PS1 game, but it does really interesting things. So it's mostly puzzle solving and a bit of stealth, but not much. Like,
Okay.
yeah. So it's primarily about the atmosphere and the puzzles and like figuring out what happened here. There's a, typical like horror thing of just figuring out the story through notes that are left behind.
Get the 8 pages.
Yeah. Little post-it notes, but like, it does really cool things. Like there are these arcade cabinets in that still work, and they all have the same game called Janitor. And in Janitor, you actually play them. You go there and you mop up things. But the thing is, you do things in Janitor and it'll unlock doors and change the arcade. So like later on, Janitor will pick up a key, you bring it back to the starting point, and there'll be a key will spawn next to the arcade game.
Interesting.
Or a door will unlock or something like that. But something's stalking you and trying to kill you. And yeah, it's a cool little horror experience. So especially again, like you want an Unknown Armies kind of vibe or Monster of the Week kind of thing. Like this would be really good. It's not really Delta Green because it's very, very much on the glitchy retro like PS1 style aesthetic for horror. So yeah, it's pretty cool. The other thing is Frontier Scum, which is a OSR Morkborg style game, but it's a game of acid Western role playing. So it's influenced. It has a list of references at the beginning of like films like Ravenous, The Quick and the Dead, The Lighthouse, even. So anything about like it's the 19th century and things are fucked up. And
but you repeat yourself.
Yeah. But you have a gun. Yeah. And it's a revolver or a lever action rifle. And like the pre-gen adventure in it is you're on a prison train. And you get out, and it's literally on rails because you're on a train the entire adventure. So you're just going through here, but it's like you have to fight the meat blob, and you have to fight so it's like a weird fucked up Western. You don't have to do that because it's an OSR game. You can make it as realistic or as unrealistic as you want, but it's very minimalist. It has some interesting mechanics too, like if you have a hat, you can negate one source of damage by just saying your hat was shot off.
Okay, very tropey.
Yeah. And ammo is basically you have a slot of ammo. Whenever you roll a 1 on a damage die, you lose a slot of ammo. So yeah, it's very minimalist, but I'm very interested in trying it out because it's like I'm interested in OSR games that don't just like emulate, just copy the rules of old D&D, like they take the idea of it and they make the mechanics better, but still simple, like at some point I do want to talk about the OSR in episode, talk about like the idea is rulings, not rules. Like you just have a very loose framework of rules and the GM just has to make individual rulings per game. Like that's the OSR aesthetic or design principle. And it's interesting. It gets really in the OSRs. I think it's a mistake by getting bogged down in nostalgia and also like edgelordy grossness. So Frontier Scum has a really cool like design aesthetic. It's like looks like a Sears catalog, but like with weird like that style of like lithograph illustrations and shit.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sort of like 18th century illustrations.
19th century. Yeah. But like for frog repellent and shit like that.
Very like Wondermark.
Yeah. Exactly, like Wondermark, but so that I'm interested in this, and so I'll be exploring that in future episodes. I did Fist, which is kind of an OSR game, but for weird, paranormal mercenary action. So, something I'm interested in. Any other shout outs?
To the terrifying people at Bass Pro. Please leave me alone. Please do not find me.
I took Patrick to the international headquarters of Bass Pro because what else you do for a person visiting Springfield, Missouri, except the Bass Pro?
Except show them how many guns and knives you have. These aren't even the ones we're using at the moment.
No,
it's impressive structure. I mean, it's basically a mall to itself.
Yeah,
like in terms of size.
Yeah.
And parts of it are a store, parts of it are museum. Parts of it are a different museum. Parts of it are an aquarium. I think I counted 3 decently sized cafes in there.
A full restaurant and 2 cafes.
Full restaurant, 2 cafes. Okay.
Yeah, the Hemingway's is a full restaurant, like sit down restaurant.
And like a car dealership sized like boat dealership.
Yeah, you gotta get your 50 grand boat
with the
bass boat.
room for like the display models. In there, we walked for quite a long time. We didn't even
like
see all
2
of it.
hours, and we didn't even go in the aquarium because that's $50 to go in there.
Yeah, that was a bit much. It was a bit steep, but it was, and then so much taxidermy, so much. And
they've powered down in these years.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, appeasing to the bleeding hearts.
Well, they put that big statue of the native warrior on his horse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think they just had to. They're just changing it up. Maybe they wanted to fit more guns in.
Yeah, maybe that thing's hollow. Maybe it's just full of guns. Yeah, no, it was, I mean, not to be disrespectful to your culture, obviously. It was quite surreal coming from a quite low, weapon visibility. But I mean, we don't, like, hunting means something else there as well. I mean, we have firearms, but it's the cop who used to live on my street had a firearm. But other than that, it was mostly farmers had shotguns, and that's kind of it. Yeah, in the UK, so it was like seeing gun culture and the commerce of gun culture was an experience. I think I took 17 photos that I sent to my family group chat saying, so these are all inside the same building. Yeah, we like our big malls. And that is the home of Bass Pro as a chain. Like the Bass Pro Pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee is pales in size. We adopted the pyramid.
Yeah, basically.
We were not born to it. Yeah. We adopted it.
Yeah. So you're heading to Gen Con. Are there any highlights or things you're looking forward to?
Oh man, you kind of caught me right, because I have some tickets booked, but I cannot remember them off the top of my head. Like I have there's some seminars.
Well, I know you're going to a Red Markets game.
I'm going to so I was going to, but the flight's in change. It was going to be with Sean Farris from RPX and Tech Diff. Yeah. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make that.
So there's a seat open if you're going to Gen Con.
Sean's a cool guy.
Show up with generic tickets. Yeah. Could probably fit you in.
I think it's the job What Your Guano Do, which is about guano mining. I think it's adapted from the 10K Lakes shared setting. So
okay, cool. Yeah.
I've got some seats booked on games. I'm going to give the Dishonored RPG a try.
Oh, see
if it deserves to exist despite Blades and But see if does it deserve to exist despite Blades in the Dark already being a thing?
Who knows?
Yeah. Give it a try. Stuff like that. Just like try out some new games. Cool. I mean, I used to really like walking the dealer's hall when I was there, just see like what like weird indie stuff is there. Because I don't go to like buy like Pathfinder stuff. Like we have that in the UK. I'm often here for like what's weird in America and
oh sure,
like doesn't maybe necessarily like ship over to my quite small gaming store. Like,
yeah. Cool. We'll probably we'll try to have you on in a future episode to give us a after.
Grant Howard's going to be there, so I'm going to try and say hi to him. A maker of Heart and Spire and
a bunch of other things.
He's got. I think the Die RPG is going to be going through.
His company. I think it's going through his company, although it's a different designer.
Yeah, and also all the micro RPGs like Crash Pandas. Sorry. Honey Heist, I think, is the big one. Yeah. Cool. So go and watch out, Grant. Calling my shot and coming for you.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Be sure to also check out the Patreon, our Patreon, RPPR Patreon, and of course, Harkin's album. What's the album called?
Honeymoon Suite.
Honeymoon Suite. And we'll check you out later, unless you jump to a multiverse where we do not exist. In which case, bye.
Bye.
Hey, it's Ross Payton. I'm talking into a microphone. How can you hear me, Patrick?
Unfortunately.
Okay, thanks. Great way to start. All right, do you want to talk some more?
Hello, this is Patrick Harkin from Role-Playing Purple Radio. No, hang on, that's the wrong one. Role-Playing Exchange and Technical Difficulties.
There you go. Yeah.
Just say you're on the podcast. It's your podcast now.
No,
Podcast Ronan.
I've planted a flank. I am not leaving.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Yeah, sound good.
Okay.